Actually, what's supposed to be having it too is something happening, isn't there? They've got loads of English money as well, people can give me.
Okay.
There's two main construction types that I use. One's what we call a turn shoe, which was mainly used up until the end of the 16th century. And the shoe is actually made inside out on the last. And you stitch the upper directly onto the sole. Once you've sewn the upper and the sole together, you then soak them in water and turn them in the right way. That's why they get the name turn shoes. These are turn shoes. This is the 16th century turn shoe. So this is actually made inside out. And inside here, under this insole, is all the stitching. Can't really see because it's glued. Haha. Okay. Now the later time, like the shoes for the Napoleonic era, are made in a what we call a welted form. This is a gentleman's shoe of this Napoleonic period. If you look carefully, you'll see there's the thickness of the sole. There's another thickness here. That's called the welt. And when you are making a welted shoe, you make them in the right way. So you last the shoe up over you put the leather over the last. It's called lasting up. You then stitch through the welt from here all the way around the toe, through the upper and into the insole. And if you look inside the shoe, you can see the stitches. They're actually halfway through the thickness of the leather on the inside. When you've stitched the way around on the welt, you then add the base for the heel, which is held in wooden pegs. You then add the sole. The sole's put on wet, and I cut a groove in all the way around with a knife. Open that up, then punch the holes, and then hand stitching all the way around the edge. Okay, all the welts hand stitched as well. So they take a while. This seam takes about 40 minutes. Okay, one seam. With the turn shoes, the seam to sew the upper to the sole is over an hour each shoe. It makes your hands red.
Okay.
But when you put the sole on wet leather, you then hammer it on as well, so it compacts the leather. Okay, it's held in place with a few tacks through the leather into the last. When I've sewn it up, damp the leather again, and then close this down with a bow. So I can squash it back again. So the stitching is now buried inside a slot, so it's protected. Then of course, then the heel's added. But the upper construction is the same really on any of the shoes. The only difference between this and the earlier shoes is these have lining inside them. So there's two layers of leather. And later shoes, you start having cloth inside as well. And they will strengthen around the seams with cloth because cloth doesn't stretch like that. Start again, shall we? This is a modern ladies' court shoe. It's one of the first I've made like this. It's also a modern construction. If you notice, there's no stitching in any of the sole. There's no stitching inside. It's actually glued together. So the sole is held to the upper with glue. The glue we use is called a neoprene cement, which is very good, and it will not come apart. Modern trainers and a lot of modern lady shoes are made exactly the same way. It's not something I make many of, but this is just as an experiment to try and get the design of the shoe right. One of the important things of any of the shoes is keeping this line here tight. This is called the top line. That's the problem how it adds. That line here, you can't keep it tight. Mainly because of the shape of the shoe. But to keep that tight, you really have to pull this over the last tight, really hard. It takes quite a lot of strength actually. But you can see that's almost taut. This is called the top line stitch. Basically, that keeps it taut. It stops the leather stretching. That row of stitching, and you'll find that it's on all the earlier shoes as well. The heel is just a normal, what we call stack heel. It's just layers of leather, glued and then nailed. That's it, and that's really.
Okay.